Salam, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab. I have a very special guest today. He's courageous, his fortitude, his mental strength is something you will discover today. He's one of the early petitioners who filed directly in the Supreme Court to abolish the 377 article decriminalizing same-sex relationship.
Keshav Suri moved the apex court urging it to scrap Section 377.
Pride Month promotes visibility and unity amongst LGBTQI plus individuals.
We are at the Lalit and I have the most amazing person with me. He's a dear friend. I've known him for some time. I've had hundreds of hours of private conversations with him and I wanted to get this conversation in front of you. I can tell you for a fact, I want you to listen into the entire conversation.
Being gay at some point in the country was considered a mental illness. Years they've been told something's wrong with you. Years they've been told there's a hormonal imbalance. At the end of the day, I am a Nepo baby.
What is a Nepo
And
baby?
Bevkoof aa gaya, and now he's going to basically think, I will never hid my sexuality. And I said that I don't want it to be a water cooler conversation. If I eventually do get divorced, then I also should have the right to alimony. Right?
You don't need it. You don't need it.
Cyril.
Yeah, he'll need one, but you don't need one. You should be debited.
And then, right. Salam, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab, wide grin on my face. My guest today is someone I have admired, not for his courage, not for his fortitude, but how he wears it every single day of his life. He leads one of India's most iconic hospitality brand, of course, as a family business. He was one of the most important people who had filed a petition directly with the Supreme Court of India and challenged Article 377. And today, in 2018, there was a landmark judgment, which of course abolished criminalization of same-sex. I know him as a friend. I know him as a brother. I know him as a force. And I can't tell you today how happy, how joyful I am because I want to have this conversation because there's so much out of my own curiosity that I want to ask him these questions. And he has been absolutely gracious to tell me, Kunal, you can ask me anything. So it stems from that aspect. And I hope I do justice to today's podcast. I'm not nervous, but I am supremely, as I said, happy about this because there's so much within me which wants to understand a lot of things. I don't have those answers. And hopefully we will get those answers today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in India, Keshav Suri. Oh my God. Wow. What an introduction, Kunal. I'm so honored for you to give me such a beautiful introduction.
You're a beautiful man.
No, but it's so, sometimes you have this imposter syndrome, right? Where you basically, when you were talking, I was like, oh, this sounds like a very interesting person.
Yeah.
Who is this person? I didn't.
Yes.
I got lost in
And
thinking
Keshav,
that it's
camera sab dekhta hai, and I'll tell you why. Because how many people do you know have forced constitutional change in India?
no.
Forget what you have done with 377.
Yeah.
How many people do you know personally have forced constitutional change in India after the British left India?
You're too kind. You're too kind.
But on fact check, how many people?
But on fact check, I have to
say that there was a big movement that
Of
was
course
already
there was.
started. Originally, it was started by NAS Foundation,
Of course.
by Anjali Gopalan, and they are the ones who filed the first petitions. The first reading down of Section 377 happened in 2009 by the High Court, the Delhi High Court. Of course, then it was read up again in 2013. And actually, what happened was there was a particular statement that the judge made where they said, who are these gay people, these lesbian people? And then he asked one of the lawyers, and the lawyers said, we don't know any. So then he said that it's too minuscule a minority for us to care about. And then, so I think that sort of woke up a little bit of the legal fraternity, as well as some of the very privileged queers. And I have to check my privilege on this. But I have to very proudly say that I belong to an industry which actually, out of the 6 to 7 original petitioners after NAS Foundation, were from the hospitality industry. Because you had Chef Ritu Dalmia, you had Navtej Singh Johar, you had Mr. Aman Nath of Neem Rana, and then after the first 5 was mine, which was the 6th. So I know them and I love them. So they also challenged. I love as much as I've said it on record. Ritu, I love you. Yeah. Okay. As much as I did. And of course, the lawyers that were on this. So people like Saurabh Kirpal, people like Menaka Guruswamy and Arundhati Kachu, who all 3 also had their own personal journey of coming out. So it became the personal for their battle. And this is the first time that you had openly queer, lesbian and gay lawyers fighting for lesbian and gay petitioners. So actually, the honor and the glory goes to
Embarrassing. I'm also not with other men. Of course. But how many people do you know? Again, I don't look at 377. Just outside the premises of any other law, which was either struck down or modified, it just takes that element of, forget courage and fortitude on one side, but more importantly is that sustained, I would say, effort basis. You have to put everything out there, right? What is on the other side? There could be, it won't have happened, right? But today, millions of Indians, because of this one law, right, they are not questioned in a cop station, even if they're holding hands.
I really hear, Kunal, and I accept the beautiful compliments that are coming out from you. But sometimes it's difficult for me to accept that. But I have to hear mention also that I'm very fortunate to have had my family that has supported me through this journey. And if I didn't have their support and love, I don't think I would have been able to do this. My mom in particular, my 3 sisters, and the feminine energy that I have been surrounded with.
You said it many a times.
And but equally to them, I've been fortunate to have my team. My team that has been working with my dad first, then mom, and now me, to also turn back and support me in such a big way. If I hadn't had their support, you're right, to have put everything on the line, filing this petition, it was a risk to the company, a risk to the land of the family, but in particular to even to the hospitality industry. And therefore, but they were like, no, we are with you. We support you. We want you to do this. Whatever may be the outcome. And you're right, it could have not happened.
Isn't that so right? It just takes that village to raise that child. And
in this case, it was a village, and it took a village. So, I did not do this alone. I will never be able to do this alone. I have to give them a shout out. I have to not just shout out, but I have to keep reminding everybody that I meet. But it was, I was.
So right.
But had they not been there, I would have not been able to.
But I'll tell you what, Keshav, when you look at India, of course, our history, rich history, 5,000 years old civilization. And the next 30, 40 years, they say, right, this next 100 years of 30 years or 40 years belong to India. right? China has seen its bit. There will be so many such occasions which will come forward where, those archaic pre-colonial era laws will have to be repealed, have to be questioned in the public domain. And I think it's for the next 30 to 50 years, anyone who either traverses through India or is born in India is going to be born in this golden era.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yes.
Foundations, at least of the 377, bunch of you people, you as well, have changed. I'm telling you, I was born in Bombay in the 1970s, although I'm just 22 years old.
Yeah.
It's
We were born in the 1990s. Please. In 1990s.
70s, it's beautiful. Love that era, right? And Bombay was always very progressive. Sorry, Mumbai. Mumbai was always very progressive about this. It was a progressive society. And even at that point in time, it was all, they would embrace just about every sex. Maybe some people who may just find it a little amusing, and just because of the ignorance, I won't say anything else. But they were the society would embrace every sex. And I was born in, I had people who were, I would say, queers and had same sex relationship. And it was absolutely normal. There was nothing. I would dare to think otherwise in other parts of India at that point in time, or even today.
Even today, I think we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But I do think that the movement and the conversations are much more accessible today than they were then, because of social media, good, bad, or ugly, and because of technology, and because of us moving forward. There is a lot more awareness. And I have to also acknowledge this, that whilst I'm specifically talking about gay and lesbian movement, the transgender community in India is a historic community. And India, whilst we may have a lot of progress to be done for gays and lesbians, however, for transgender, is proudly one of the very few countries that recognizes more than two genders. And in this particular time, it is so important, as you can see, with the attacks that are coming from United States on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and in particular to the transgender community. We actually are the Vishwa Gurus, because we are a historic, and I absolutely agree with you. We are an ancient civilization, and whilst in that civilization, the colonial era came with its set of moralities that were imposed on us. It is on us to correct those wrongs, in which little by little we are doing. But here is a community that has been recognized by the government and by the judiciary. The Nalsa judgment came out in 2014 that led to the Transgender Protection Bill, which was turned into an act by 2021, which recognizes, which also gives directions to civil society, to corporates as well, that you should recognize it too. And I think that is very important for us to know. However, yes, societal change is going to take a long time. We still, of course, consider transgender people not as equals yet. And therefore, companies like ours and mine have to change that. Because I think if it is a gender that is recognized and we are very clear that there are trans people, then it is on us to make sure that those trans people are visible, thriving in every aspect that makes society. And here I'm very proud on this aspect. And I hope that more people realize that are living in the country in particular, because there is still a large chunk that is still very ignorant on the trans movement.
My audience largely is English speaking, but what I will do specifically for this episode, I'm going to do a complete Hindi transcription as well.
Please do.
Because let this episode go to the hinterland as well. And if someone's listening in and for whatever reason has not accepted gays, has not accepted lesbians, have not accepted transgender, to those people, and this stems even from my own curiosity as well. Are you born this way? Or is it a choice that you accept asexuality? Because and I'll tell you where this question comes from. I have seen 2 4-year-olds, let's say boys, and they are very effeminate, right? A 4-year-old, the boy does not have the ability to think, but he's just on the extreme side of maybe a feminine side of, which tells me that there must be some chromosomes and X and Y which must have kind of gone wrong, right? Is it? What is it? Gone wrong. Gone wrong in the sense, let me rephrase that. As in, you have the XY or the double X, right? And there could be 2XY and a 2X or 3XX or some whatever. Oh my God.
So many X's and Y's.
No, what is it? What is it?
So, it's why do we have to make an explanation for everything? In particular, so what I can tell you, because it's a debate that many people have asked, is it nature versus nurture? Is it a mix of both? Is it you are born this way and you were nurtured in a particular way, or you were born this way and therefore you went into things? I can give you my example.
Of course.
For me, to be with another man, which is my husband, to think of my life with another man, whatever gender I am, was always natural. I never found that I was doing anything
which was out of the ordinary.
And I didn't need to get a hormone test done. And because I didn't feel that I need to explain this. That was for me. For me, it was always the essence of love that drove me to whatever. When I pictured and imagined myself in love with somebody, I always pictured and imagined myself as a man. You can debate this onto eons, whether it is X chromosome born this way. Lady Gaga had this full anthem, which is, born this way. And my argument to that, not argument, is that yes, people are born this way. We have to accept the person as they are. And as and when they exhibit love, attraction, physical attraction, gender, we should be able to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. There's no wrong or right in how many chromosomes you have. Just like there's no wrong or right in should I dress a particular way to affirm a particular gender or should I not? Kids they're born with this clean slate. We are the ones who impose our own biases or this nature versus nurture onto those kids who then get impacted and imparted.
So what he's saying is if you let them be, the choices that they make would be their natural choices without any overlay of bias.
And whether it is a choice, whether it is nature, what is nature? Who defines nature?
Yeah.
Who is the person who actually defines nature? Where are these theories coming from? I think that is what needs to be questioned more than whether your kid was naturally born gay, naturally born trans, naturally born thing. Let's question where these theories came from. Why did they creep into so many things?
I'll tell you why. And this is my understanding of it. for the or the lack of understanding of it is I'll give you an example. Take a disease, for instance, right? There's enough scientific evidence out there in the journals, in the vocabulary, in the conversations, in the medical fraternity to debunk or perhaps defend, whichever way. Because there's less information, factual information, right? Or more people don't talk about it. It's very pronounced in India. People are not talking about it much. You, of course, Ritu, and I'm sure there are others as well who I may not know personally are talking about it. But in a country of 1.4 billion people, you need a more spokesperson, right? And when you have that, the Indian, according to me, I'm sure according to you as well, we are as Indian can be. I think they are sensible enough to understand. It's just that because this discourse is not there much in the public domain. Right? And hence out of that ignorance stems curiosity, and out of curiosity, perception.
And maybe you're right. Maybe there has to be more conversations had. There also maybe has to actually be more conversations happening with the medical and the scientist fraternity. And also mental health professionals, because again, if you look at it, being gay at some point in the country was considered a mental illness. Along with my petition, it is only when our petitions happened that and in 2018 that the Indian Psychiatric Board and societies
declassified it.
Yes, and said it's not a mental illness, and we were wrong. And it happened even in the rest of the world where there have been a lot of apologies also on it. Because back in the day, even electroshock therapy was given. Now, I understand that, so for years now, put yourselves in the shoes of somebody gay, of somebody lesbian. Years they've been told something's wrong with you. Years they've been told there's a hormonal imbalance. Years they've been told, oh, you've been nurtured this way, because why? Imagine for me also, you had women raise you, so you become gay. I've also had that.
Everybody hears this.
And I've heard this too. And so, so imagine that. Imagine that you're also told that you can't be much. And then when the law says that you are criminals for love, for just having the basic nature of love, and when also psychiatry and the medical profession turns around and also says that it is a mental illness. So already we're battling a lot in that aspect.
But it's amazing. I'll tell you where the contradictions are.
It's funny. Yes, there are a lot of contradictions in this. And then at the same time, you have the transgender movement where again again it's very much debunked that that you cannot be mentally ill. And also in the transgender transitioning, you have to go to professionals to be able to walk you through transitions.
It's amazing. I'll tell you where the contradictions.
Yes,
I'll tell you where the contradictions is, and I think the audience would love to hear this view as well.
Yeah,
the fact 5,000-old civilizations, transgenders are in our earliest manuscripts.
Yes,
the earliest, right? Yes. And you were recounting in the Mahabharata.
Yes, Shikhandi, Ardhanarishwar, so many more.
Now look at the contradiction, and then you have about 200 years of British rule. Ruled by the Catholic Church, who anyway denounce this aspect.
And the Victorian morality.
So, yeah. And now, that aspect completely negates the 5,000-year-old history, becomes more like of a faith virtuosity, right? And what is faith? Faith is just your faith, right? If it is your belief, it's not your faith. Faith is my faith. I believe that this is a cup. Why? There's evidence that this is a cup.
Yes.
But I have a faith that there is energy around it.
Yes.
That's my faith.
That's my faith.
Can you see the energy around it? No.
Yeah.
That's my faith. Now, what really happened is that faith intersected with religion, with the discourses, and people started making
Law.
your perception and law. The law was written as because it was pre-colonial, right? Cannot happen that it's in the Mahabharata
Yeah.
and suddenly it's part of a law.
Yeah.
Law was written by those people
Yeah.
and largely Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything about anything. It's just everyone has their own thing. But how a country like India, which was always all in, all inclusive, started having this stratification about this kind of a conversation.
And which is why it is so important when you add the Pope.
Firstly, you agree with me?
I absolutely agree with you. I have two things to say on this. One is, of course, when the last Pope also when said that we have to recognize gay and lesbian relationships, and also said that I have no problem with some of the priests doing gay and lesbian marriage. This is important because sometimes you need that sort of signaling, and we are in 2025. I wanted to say this, that, if nature is animals and trees and plants, and as a joke, of course, this is a joke, but what is not natural to them is congregating for religion. Do you know what is not natural for them is sitting in a church or sitting in a temple or sitting in things. You don't have them particularly in faith. So if you're saying human beings, right? So then going by that logic, gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transgenders are human beings.
Yeah.
We exist.
Yeah.
We exist in every aspect of society. We don't exist only in the urban areas. We exist in every aspect of what makes a country, everywhere.
That's what I'm saying. When
they are human too.
The state gets involved in a faith is personal. State cannot get involved in your personal faith.
Yes.
I believe there is energy around it. Is my faith.
Yes.
Right? Don't question me.
Yeah.
And that's where, as I say, but to the point, Keshav, is there has to be more conversation around this.
Kunal, and I want you to do that because you have a platform.
Yeah.
I am one of many. You have to be able to go take this conversation to many more people.
Yeah.
And I of course am very happy to put you in touch with a lot of the people in my network. But I think you know enough.
Yeah.
You know enough and more. And let everybody, because see, I can't be a spokesperson of maybe even factually I'm incorrect in so many things, you know. And one person can't be a spokesperson for a community that is
For sure. But that one person through your discourse can lead that movement, and that movement leads to, I guess, just acceptance.
I agree. And but Devdutt Patnaik, I want you to talk to.
I've
heard of him. Devdutt,
I've seen him.
He's a mythologist. He's beautiful in mind.
Yeah.
But Devdutt will talk to you very nicely about faith, religion, and queerness. There's another gentleman called Jerry Johnson. Jerry Johnson brought in the sort of Catholic perspective. Wow. Jerry and Devdutt, they wrote a book which is brilliant together. And then, of course, you should also interview somebody like a Lakshmi Narayan Tripathi, who is a Mahamandaleshwar, who was the first Akhada to be at the Mahakumbh.
Yeah.
So these are the real leaders when it comes to faith and all of that. Me, I'm just there giving you all of this. And of course, there are also, am I biased?
That's fine.
So there are also a certain amount of doctors and mental health professionals and scientists who are queer, who are gay, and who will be able to answer more eloquently the whole X, Y, Z, QP chromosomes that we take at.
And I'll tell you why. Keshav, I said that not only you're courageous, but the fact that you live it every single day. And from a podcast perspective, from a conversation perspective, is the change that you brought within your empire, right? Every time I come to this particular property, I am amazed on that inclusivity which you have fostered. They are beautiful people. The service levels are next level because they are happy. You have given them their own identity.
Kunal, thank you.
Their identity, their story, they are living. You made that possible, right? You made that possible within your empire. Hopefully, there are 30 others listening to this, and I'm talking to industrialists, right? Who make what has my sexuality got to do with my work? Output has no sexuality written to it. Output has effort written into it.
Thank you.
And you have done that. And I'll tell you why. You don't see what I see.
Emotional?
No. And I'll tell you why. See,
Me and the team and all the other people also involved, not just me alone.
no, of course. You see, you are leading a team who are benefiting from this. But what your team will not tell you is I will tell you. And hopefully they're not telling you, but I should tell you this. Is for that person, and we were talking to Ruchi a little while earlier, right? For her to dress up the way she is. You know, I'm sure when she goes back home, she must be a different personality.
Yes, probably.
In the locality that she lives. Yeah. But it's emancipation here. If you had to give her a bunk here, she would have never gone home. Because she would have lived Ruchi 24/7. That's what you have done.
Thank
That for me is above everything else.
Kunal,
Above 377, above whatever we've kind of spoken about. That's a human being. She, he, them, it, they, whoever they are, the right to express themselves as a human being, only answerable.
Yes.
And you giving them an opportunity over here, it's mind-blowing. And I hope everybody listening in,
Kunal,
take a cue from this, you know?
wow.
And no, seriously. And
You're very, very kind, Kunal. That thank you for that. But you know,
Keshav, how long have I known you?
I don't know. I will always say this to you. Good at like accepting any compliments.
And this is not an imposter syndrome. Sometime in life, you know, if you be that catalyst, God has given you through this family, right? The means. A lot of people don't have that means. You have that. So, and you're doing it, right? Maybe it's for a reason.
Maybe it is for a reason.
Maybe there is a larger purpose. Maybe you haven't seen it yet. Could be. Could be. Why? You were born. Think about it. Why were you born to Mr. and Dr. Suri? Had those three sisters.
Well, yeah.
In an empire who were all inclusive at a very young age. And I will not relieve your age. By the way, you're just 22 yourself. At that time. Reason, right? There is a reason. There's always a reason.
I love that.
And in a country like India, boss, when you have all these things kind of going on, right? Change it. Because people look up. People are not going to look up to Ruchi. Right? She's part of the movement.
Yeah.
But the movement.
So Kunal, I have to. You're really being too kind to me. But I'll tell you a little bit from my perspective. When I joined in, I have to call myself out in a couple of things. At the end of the day, I am a Nepo baby. Yes, I have to accept that.
What is a Nepo baby?
Whatever. No. You say I've been born into privilege. I've also benefited a lot by my parents, who they were. I benefited a lot by.
Did you choose it?
Bringing them to. No, I didn't choose it.
Nobody chose it, right? You were born. 1 second. I also know a lot of people who were born in billionaire families and have done nothing. But you chose to do something. So what is Nepo about it? If you hadn't done anything, sorry, Keshav, you would have been a Nepo baby.
Okay.
Right? But is it your fault?
Wow.
That you chose to do a lot.
Okay.
You could have been in a Bali or a Maldives sitting and cooling your ass.
True.
But you didn't do that.
True. And so that was where I was very clear from day one. When dad passed and there was, and mom filled in his shoes beautifully.
Yeah.
And also very clearly said that our goal was to just make sure that she's supported and that she succeeds and of
Correct.
course succeeded really beautifully. But her goal was also that we end up succeeding and that we also do what we are supposed to, but in our own time, in our own pace, and in our own way. I have to say that they also inculcated a very deep-rooted sense of work with us. It's different. It would, and never once said that you will have to join the business or you will have, it was always left to us. And all of us four were told that, never told that you are not good enough or you're a woman or you're a guy or you're a this and this is better for that and this is better for that. No, it was left to us. Our own journey when it came to education, I ended up doing 2 masters. And you know, and my sisters all did different. One of my sisters did law. One of my sisters did also 2 masters. And you know, so and it was always our choice. And I have to say that I'm very lucky and privileged to have that access with my parents. But when I came back and decided to work, after I finished my second LLM in SOAS and dad had passed, it was a very clear conversation that mom and I had, saying that I am not going to live a lie. And I'm going to be very clear from day one with the team. Already they have to deal with the Nepo baby. Yes, already they have to be like, ye kya, you know, Bevkoof aa gaya, and now he's going to basically think. So already I had to work with my team to be able to get them to work with me as well and to accept me. Just like how I needed to accept them, they needed to accept me too. And I know it sounds so odd to say work from the ground up, because for a Nepo baby, how is that working from the ground up? But one thing I was very clear, and I think the team really respected me for that, was that I will never hid my sexuality. And I said that I don't want it to be a water cooler conversation. I want it to be, okay, judge me for who and what I do.
The effort, right?
Judge me for the impact I make.
Correct.
And then it was, of course, the launch of Kitty Sue that really sort of, you know, made the team sort of also take me a little bit more seriously. But then the impact that we started making at the Kitty Sue, which also brought in a huge cultural shift of change in diversity, equity, and inclusion with the team. Because we did a lot of queer nights. We did drag. We brought drag. We questioned gender. And this is back in 2011. We did all of that. We questioned gender. Then we didn't just stop there. We were very clear that we wanted to work with the differently able community, with the neurodivergent community, with acid attack warriors. And it is after seeing all of this that the team realized that, oh, why are we just restricting this to Kitty Sue? Let's take this to the Lalit. But you know, for us, it never became a tick mark. It always was, we have to put our money where our mouth is. And for me, as an individual, that was very important. Because I didn't also want to just be a petitioner that is saying that, okay, give me my rights and freedom. But I also said that, no, it's not me alone. It's actually my team. That is the Ruchis, the Mahis,
True.
the Akshas, the Debashris, the Ashins, all of them, and Mr. Shukla, and everybody was saying that these are my team members. And if they don't get their equality, if they are not seen in every position in the company and then take it to the country, we will not rest, or it is unfair. And it is because we made those changes within the company, be it when it came to medical insurance, when it came to taking care of the team, and also making sure that everybody had the tools. It's not because Ruchi's chance that she has this job. It is because Ruchi has the tools. She's been given the skill sets. She's been given the education. We are lucky to have the hospitality school. We're lucky to have partners like ISH, where we are working on, you know, education, on scholarships, on fellowships. They've been given the tools to succeed, so that nobody turns around and, because that's the other debate, is the meritocracy versus affirmative action. And it's not affirmative action. They are meritorious to sit in the positions that they're in. And it is only after that can I take this challenge and say to the rest of the country and the world, come and see what we do at the Lalit. Let this be a message of love for society, for governments, for the world. Where you see in the day an acid attack warrior, a differently able person, a differently able DJ, a DJ on wheelchairs, a neurodivergent person, or a person wearing whatever clothes they want to, but all thriving, be it in front office, security, housekeeping, and general managers. Walking a catwalk that is the Lalit now, because we've revealed the catwalk.
So can I ask you a question? Because if you don't like compliments, can you name me one other sector where all this is happening? Because you don't like compliments.
Stop it.
No, seriously.
No, there are a lot of people who've done a lot of good work on this. Godrej has done a lot of good work.
Fantastic.
I have to give Godrej and Godrej company.
See, my ignorance, right? Now you're telling me Godrej. What else? All I'm trying to say is, the more you're going to do it, let people see it. 1.5 million people will see this podcast. Stuff which they didn't know, they will know. Perceptions perhaps they had created. Hopefully, maybe with this conversation, we will be more tolerant as a society. We'll be more inclusive as a society. And eventually, at the end of the day, it's all about the individuality.
Of course.
Your belief and your faith cannot intersect.
I'm really hoping after this conversation, Kunal, that really the hospitality industry, which in any case, I firmly believe is an exceedingly inclusive industry, but I also firmly believe can be also the leaders in so many aspects.
Right.
Because,
Absolutely.
a hospitality professional knows business, crisis management, people management, and is an all-rounded person and also does seva, for different kind, of course, but does seva and really knows the nuances of human and human nature.
Correct.
I really firmly believe that after this conversation, a lot of us in the hospitality industry come together.
Correct.
And I'm happy to walk them through what we've done at the Lalit. I'm also happy to walk them through to what we're doing with the Keshav Suri Foundation. And walk them through with what we're doing with you, the ISH, because you also took a risk. The Aditya Nanda scholarship students that I was talking about,
Correct.
You're doing with us. You without thinking twice, sat and said, we're signing up for this because we want to do it. I'm hoping that we take that so that what you just said, I can give you then 50 other examples, not just Godrej or Radhika Piramba or Dasra.
And you know what? Especially the hotel industry and the aviation industry, I can tell you there are the new guards which have come now. Right? The leaders who are there today, they are all in their 40s, maybe the early 50s, and they're all very progressive and they're all for change. And that's a good thing as well. With the new guards coming in, this can be accelerated.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they all come from the same era and are really the catalyst for change.
And again, believe in that India is building an inclusive world, not just nation.
Yes.
Firmly believe in that. And honestly, like I said, when there are attacks from all over the world on diversity, equity, and inclusion, we really should show how because from day one, it's in our DNA.
Yes, it is.
Be it caste, be it with religion, be it with gender, we are exceedingly inclusive and diverse. We don't give ourselves enough credit for it, and we can show to the world because, all those questions about toilet usages and all that, we don't actually it's not a part of us, it's not a part of our DNA.
True.
To ever exclude anybody is not a part of our DNA.
I don't know much about religion. I don't know. I mean, Kavya had zero knowledge, right? Bombay, maybe just the way I was, whatever. But I just know one thing. Whenever I process the term Hinduism, inclusivity, we have been the most inclusive, I would say, sect ever. That's what I know that.
And in terms of spirituality also, Kunal, look at our spirituality. Look at all the thing. Not one person or one spiritual sect ever talks about exclusion. I would say I would take it to Hinduism, I would take it to Sufism, I would take it to Buddhism, I would take it to all of them. Just talk about loving
So right. Absolutely right.
yeah, look at the emotions of love and doing good. Right? So for me, India is that. Has always been that and should continue to be that. And I really think we should show the power and messaging of what we do here, how we get it right here.
Keshav, let me turn back the clock. Dad was around. Of course, mom was there. 3 other siblings.
Yes.
How was it like growing up?
Oh, it was crazy. It was fun.
Apart from the privilege, which you so-called say very often, right?
Yes, but I have to. Because I can't sit over there and say that, oh my God, poor little rich boy crying about his life. When you know that you come from a country and in particular from a community which goes through much worse than I have.
Can I ask you a question? Was Mr. Suri the first generation who made the wealth?
Yes.
So it's not a hand-me-down wealth, right? He worked, the family worked.
Yes, he worked
very, very hard, very hard. At the cost of his health at times.
Yes.
Right?
This I agree with you.
Right?
Yes.
And who did he work for? For his wife, for his 4 children, his immediate family, to bring them from where to wherever. I'm sure when he started off, he didn't even know that he's going to build this massive empire. All he knew at that point in time, from whatever I know, is the fact that he was resolute in his vision.
And obsessed with his vision. And on his vision also for a very, very progressed India.
I just want to know, when you were growing up in a family which is also powerful, how is it that everyone, and I know Dr. Suri personally,
yes,
I know your sister, right?
Yes.
Of course, you're a brother. How are you also powerful and also nice at the same time?
Oh, God. So I don't know if we're that powerful, to be really honest.
Powerful in terms of there is an empire, right? There is an ability to influence, right? Whether it's at a policy framework level, and she sits at just about every other board out there, right? So that's that influence.
Yeah.
But yet grounded.
You're so good for my ego. I have to tell you, you're inflating an already inflated ego.
I have written that down because I'm going to question that. I'm going to question that as well.
But I have to say that, my parents' hard work was a part of their DNA. Also, they were very visionary. Because whilst Dad, of course, was building the hotels, there were other companies like Subros which manufactured car air conditioning. There was also my aunt who did step by step, which is education. Then at the same time, mom who was building the hospitality school. So it was a household of visionaries, but all with this one very specific purpose.
Nation building.
And in whatever way, right? Be it in women empowerment, be it in infrastructure, because Dad was very pro pushing infrastructure.
And the India cost.
And my uncle, Mr. Ramesh Suri, because it was him and Dad who started Subros, which my sister has taken forward and quadrupled. And not for one second was it ever a doubt that my sister was going to do that, because she said she wanted to do that and she worked her.
Can we say?
I'm not going to say that.
How can I say?
She worked. And so when I saw that, with, of course, my parents, my aunt and my uncle, who also had a big hand in bringing me up, that inculcated my sisters. So Shraddha, when she went on to Subros, to Divya, who wanted to be a lawyer, to basically in education, to Deeksha, who was working here very closely with me.
True.
It was never a conversation on who gets to do what. It was always how do we do it together and take forward what we've been taught from our DNA.
Yeah.
And yes, you're right. It was always about nation building. And so therefore, when I did what I did, or when I'm doing what I'm doing, be it with 377 or be it within the organization, there was never a doubt, even in the other way to say, let me play devil's advocate, let me think. Of course, arguments and conversations were had, But I have to say that they were like, okay, no, this needs to be done.
Yeah.
And we'll do it together.
So I'm a little older than you. I'll give you a little gyan as well, right? Keshav, and this is my hypothesis. I like to believe this is right. So, when you say you're a Nepo baby or I'm inflating your ego, actually it's not that. I truly believe that strong parents raise strong children, regardless of how much money or wealth is in the house. A strong farmer raises a strong IAS officer. A strong compounder in a hospital raises the best neurosurgeon in India. So is that strength of the family. And you know what is common in all these families? Wealth aside, the fact that every dining table conversation is advancing either the knowledge, right, or the energy or the love,
Yes.
right, and the
passion.
children and the passion.
Oh my God.
Just imagine what will a farmer who earns, let's say,
Table conversations, we were yelling, screaming, passionate. There was never anything that was off the...
Was there any religious conversation?
Many.
No. What I'm trying to say is, but every conversation was towards building something.
And everybody was heard. Everybody had their...
That's my
moment. Everybody would there was not one that, no, you can't speak, I'm only speaking.
Exactly my point.
There was not one. And we discussed anything and everything under the sun. No.
So what has that got to do with wealth, sir?
Nothing to do with wealth. You're right.
So how come you're a Nepo? So how come you're a Nepo baby?
What I loved about this crazy growing up was that there was no conversation off the table. The only maybe grouse I had was that over the course of time, everybody started becoming busier and busier and busier. So, what used to be 3 times a day yelling and screaming match became twice a day. Then it became only dinner time because everybody,
I have a theory to that.
Right?
Can I say it?
So, but it was very clear, at least that one meal a day
had to be together. But I'll also tell you a theory. In a country like India, I'm not no one to talk about US, Japan, China. The fact that every time you put in another factory, part of the other business, or you put in another hotel, or you put in another school, or you put in another institution,
yes,
you gave employment to thousands of people and you enriched their families. They had better education for their children. And that burden is only a founder or an industrialist family carries, or non-industrialist family, any business person carries, right? That's nation building, according to me, including a normal garage person who, through tempering of the cars, has given employment opportunities to, let's say, 5 other garage mechanics. That itself, I think, for the next 100 years in India is required.
But also, Kunal, vice versa, they enriched us too.
Of course.
They enriched our lives too.
Yes.
And they also gave us as much as we gave them.
And hence you are also powerful and also humble, is because as much as you built, but you built with them. And you recognize that. And that recognition comes back from the values on that dining table when you were growing up, right or wrong?
Okay. I give you that, sir. Honestly, it's difficult for me to accept so much of love.
But it is. And I'm making that kind of larger point.
But you're right. A lot of me and us were informed through that.
Yes.
Much more than we were informed by our education or whatever school we went to or whatever colleges we went to. That informed us, no doubt. But those dining table conversations are technically what made us.
That is conditioning happening from at a very young age, and the conditioning, at least in the families, I'd like to believe, like even including my family, create to make an impact for India. Create whatever is it that you're creating, make an impact for India. Every time you put in, I like to believe, look at an ISS, it's not as big as your empire, right? But the fact is, directly, indirectly, 1,000 people benefit from it. And if I generally say that, if my head of admissions, if my an executive drives a better car, a better house, including a Mercedes Benz, nothing will give me more joy and happiness.
You're absolutely right.
I think we Indians deserve everything that comes our way.
And Kunal, you helped build that with also your experience before ISH, but of course now with ISH. Look at the students that are coming out of ISH. Look at where they are. Look at what they are doing. Look at how they are contributing. Look at the fact that you're building the future.
Yeah.
You're nurturing the future. So now it's my compliments to you.
Unlike you, I'm guilty as charged.
No, but I am saying that I've been to ISH and I've seen that whilst, yes, a lot of the dinner table conversations that I had informed me, but you're having those conversations in college. So those kids don't need to have a dinner table conversation with their parents. They're having some very logical, very analytical conversations and problem building and solution for those problems that you're doing, which is missing in a lot of education, in particular in hospitality.
Yeah.
And then in that mix, you're also bringing in topics like queer inclusion, because I know, I've seen it. You're bringing in conversations like that are not what we would consider only hospitality kind of skills-based conversations. You're really building a very, very, very analytical, very non-theoretical, but more practical individual, which is going to contribute to the success story of India, whether they continue working in India or they take it outside. They will take the brand India and then brand ISH.
They take the brand India and
Puri and all are doing.
Yeah. So to the point, how I think because of Dilip as well, right? And because of that faith he had in me to take his vision and turn this ISH today into, I would like to believe that is like a school of reference. Nothing would give us more pleasure that there are other schools out there who say, that's a good model school.
Yeah.
It's built on philanthropy.
Yes.
Yeah, Keshav the Suri Foundation
Keshav Suri
supports postgraduate students as well. There are other foundations which are supporting. The inclusion is coming from a fact that indeed that farmer's son or daughter or the rickshawala's son or daughter can partake in quality education right here in India.
Yes.
And the foundation supports.
And that is exactly why our visions align with the Lalit Suri Hospitality School.
Correct.
And that we have a beautiful school built in Faridabad. And I'm so happy to partner with you in that as well, because that is exactly what the vision of Mom was when she built and launched
I am scaling,
and to take it forward to where we are today, and to take that even, I like you believe that also we can be the center of excellence when it comes to hospitality.
Yes.
For the world.
Yes.
Absolutely. You've already done that in ISH, and I actually, to be honest, because you said that, you love the work that I do and you follow what I do, but I actually follow you guys at ISH, at our hospitality school, because that's exactly what we want.
And inshallah, this will happen, because again, I spoke to you off the record as well, between you and Dr. Suri. Both of you are those tenacious, obsessive people, ensuring like Dad was, like he was. Again, comes back from that same dining table conversation. Strong parents raise strong.
And my aunt and uncle.
Of course. Whoever was part of the dining table. Dining table is just an analogy which I'm kind of putting out there, but that sphere of influence is what really, you take that values. And you know what? Even if you want to deviate, you will not deviate. Ask me why.
Why?
Because you'll come back, because that values will haunt you.
Also, it is the people that you meet in your life that also have similar values that you end up making your world. Why was it so important for me to build this queer world at the Lalit? It is because I also wanted to see a bit of me in every corner of the Lalit. I wanted to see my community also to build my safe space for myself. Of course, in my selfish need to build a safe space for myself, I ended up
Building it for. Okay, now this is my question. You did not build according to me, Kitisu. You didn't. You were building something else.
I was building something else.
What was that something else?
That's a safe space.
Yes.
I was building.
You just called it the Kitisu.
Yes.
And in that safe space which you built for yourself, thousands came in for that safe space and felt safe and in Kitisu.
Yes.
Whether nature, whether nurture, who cares? Who cares?
Yes.
The fact that there was love inside that Kirisu,
Yes.
right? That's, I think, you were building. I don't think so. It's when you're reflecting on it,
Yeah.
back,
Yeah. Of course.
then you realize that this is something that you were doing.
But it was the safe space.
Yeah.
Also, our whole program on Pure Love was born at Kitisu. Everything that we're doing at the Lalit is safe. But it was really to also have the community, the LGBTQ community, and any marginalized community to feel that we're seen, we're visible, we're heard, and that we're not in the shadows. We're not fringe people. This is exactly why when we talked about 377 or even further equalities to eventually one day have same-sex marriage, because you can't tell a community that we see you, you're not criminals, but you are nothing beyond that either. We have to tell everybody we're not on the fringes. We are thriving. We contribute. We contribute to nation building. We contribute to the world building. And we exist in every molecule that exists in whatever you want to call nature or this planet. But for me, it was very important for people to see that. You know, in all the years that I've been doing this, Kunal, I've never had any kind of pushback from my guests, which is funny, which is a question that a lot of people ask. Do you get pushback from the industry or from the... No, because they've seen that it is coming from the place of love. And we also don't hide it. When you come to the hotel and you've experienced this yourself, instead of the usual, mala and tikka, we do the DEI, what we call the DEI welcome, where I put my team from whatever spectrum of divergence or neurodivergence they may come from, or gay or lesbian or trans, or whether they are also, they cannot hear properly, or they have a speech impediment. They all stand in a line. They all welcome the guest, VIP or not, with Indian Sign Language, saying, welcome home. Beautiful. And we see the divine in you, just as you should see the divine in us. That's how we start our journey of the customer coming into the Lalit. And therefore, when you start with that, and then of course we've got, the books and then the subtle messaging, but not so subtle messaging across, where it comes from a place of love. You evoke an emotion of love in your customer, who then says, whatever they may be at home, but in the Lalit, they're like, you know what? We're fine with this. We see this. In fact, we love it whilst we're here. And if nothing else, they'll take that. Some of the comments that we get, some of the real reviews that we get, they're so beautiful to watch. So, again, something that, and now our clientele mainly is a domestic clientele. So we really have to take this to the world, Kunal. And I believe that what you do also at ISH, what we're doing at the school, what we're doing at the Lalit, if we could take this, maybe make a case study on it together, have it actually be taught at an ISH, have it be taught at our school, collaborate it and take it to the rest of the industry and the world. We really can.
And education plays such an important part, fundamental pillar. You want to change a nation, change its education.
And you're doing that.
Trying. And there are so many others you're doing. What you have done many eons ago with the Lalit Suri Hospitality School as well. And of course, it has its own kind of journey, which we'll kind of go through. But about 12, 14 years ago, for you to build that kind of a campus, Mom. Let's not even, of course, Dr.
Hey,
Dr.
this is Dr. Suri.
Shout out to you, man.
Yes.
Right? Big shout out to her. But the fact 14 years ago to build something like that, right? And it was the future vision.
Yeah.
That when Indian hospitality, when more tourists would come in, at that point in time, you require the business graduates of hospitality, the skill graduates of hospitality, the DIE hospitality graduates, everyone. Because that tourist coming in, domestic or international, does not come in the fact that I am male, female, transgender, LGBTQ, PQRST. Atithi Devo Bhava.
Exactly.
I only see the divine in you. I don't care about anything else.
There you
See the contradiction. That same Indian guest coming to Lalit is all inclusive. Which, what does it say? They are inclusive people.
Yes.
It's just that
yes.
they are seeing it at the Lalit, but unfortunately, when they have gone out, they're not seeing it much. It's the same Indian. Cannot possible that Kunal walks into a Lalit, he's inclusive,
Yes.
he accepts, or he just loves what he sees, the love that he's seeing, the heart that he's seeing everyone exude here, but when he goes outside, he's saying, oh, where's the goddamn heart gone? So it needs to be a way of life.
Yes.
Again, as I say, your sexuality has got nothing to do with your effort and you as a human being.
Exactly. And so, Kunal, that's why this conversation is important. And that's why taking this to universities like yours, like ours, but also others. So I know that KSF, we tied up with the lovely professional university to do 20 LGBTQ students.
Beautiful.
As a part of the Adityananda scholarship for long distance. Now that long distance has gone very successfully, we wanted to be on campus. And little by little, they're doing it. So, whoever wants to listen, whoever wants to take this should. And maybe, like I said, we work together. We take this as a case study. We take it as a conversation. We take it through our scholarship, this postgraduate degree of the 4 students that are going to join. Divyansha, who did it so well with you already. If we take this and we say, listen, this can go to other education students. Imagine, whilst the customer that is coming to the Lalit, of course, is seeing that. But if the future generations of the students in these schools were taught that, were seeing that, how much more impact that would make.
I'm so with you on that. Keshav, tell me something. Think 1.5 billion Indians are listening to you today.
Yes.
There is the child out there. Right? Living in fear. For whatever reason. Right? He's unable to tell his parents. He's unable to tell his friends. And what would you like to tell that parent? Because the fact, go back to what you've said, you were born in a very progressive family. I won't say a privileged family, but a very progressive family. You may not have been through the trials and tribulation what a normal Ruchi would perhaps kind of go through. And if you had to let them know about their child, because they are seeing the child today, they're not seeing the child 40 years hence. 40 years hence is this beautiful man. 25 years, hey, Andy?
You just told everybody my age.
Oh, did I? Okay. We edit that. But Ruchi, who's that 25-year-old, they haven't seen that beautiful Ruchi at 25. If the same Ruchi was 4 years old today, they haven't seen Ruchi 25. What would you tell them?
So first, I would want to talk to the parents. And I want to say to the parents, love your child. Just love your child. And let your child grow and thrive through love. Don't think there's anything wrong with the child. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame the child.
Very important.
And there are enough and more people out there in very similar situations. Find them. Talk to them. Talk to the right people. Be it groups. Be it there are queer parents groups like Swikar. It's called Swikar, and they have a network across the country. And like Swikar, there are many others. Find them, talk to them. Don't feel that you're alone. But to the kid, I want to say, find your tribe. It is very important to find your tribe. This is something that I steal from RuPaul, who is the goddess and the mother of all drag. There's always said, find your tribe of people. You're not alone. We as queer people, sometimes we get to choose our family because sometimes our own family doesn't accept us. And when we do, we should again never feel that we're alone. Again, there's nothing wrong with you. Don't live in shame. Don't live in that, should I do something?
There is nothing wrong with you.
Nothing wrong with you. And there are many people like you. Find them.
Find them. You just don't know them, just find them.
Find them. You will find them in the remotest of villages. And now with the remotest of villages, having access to internet, having access to technology, you will find them on the internet. You will find us. Reach out. Reach out to Keshav Suri Foundation. We are available for you 24/7. We have anything and everything that you may need to feel protected and safe, we have it. Reach out to NAS Foundation. Reach out to the LGBTQ Center in Delhi. Reach out to Humsafar Trust. Reach out to the NGOs and the grassroots level people that are working, the Vikalps, the Yol Manipurs, the people that are working in the most challenging of places, but they exist. And they're there to help you, to protect you, to make you feel loved if you're not finding that with your parents. And they also have the tools to equip you and your parents to meet each other halfway. Over the course of time and over the years, I have to also tell the kids sometimes, the kids that are sort of coming out or finding it very challenging with their parents, meet them halfway. They also are victims of the information and circumstance. Maybe they don't know better. A lot of biases, a lot of phobias come from a fear of unknown. Let them feel safe to see what they want to say and for you to not get offended by it. And vice versa, let you also tell them that this is who I am. Love me for who I am. You will see that so much change and progress within your own personal journey can happen. But anyway, never feel alone. There is a tribe of us queers, gays, lesbians, bisexual, trans people. There are many of us out there.
So, to the point which you just mentioned,
Reach out.
why do we just say gay, lesbian, and queers, right? So if you're a victim, you have a tribe of that community. If you are an alcoholic, you have a tribe of that.
You have a tribe of that community.
If you are a cancer surviving, you will have a tribe for that. So find that tribe.
Find that tribe.
It's beautiful.
And you find also counselors, mental health professionals, people that will walk with you in the journey for you.
And all this, is it more pronounced after 2018?
Definitely, I would say yes. You're right. It got amplified in a much bigger way after 2018. And yes, a lot of the community felt they can breathe. And therefore, because they could breathe, they can then now work on so many other things that they needed to work on. But yes, to be honest, Kidisu was created for that. That we all found a tribe space to find a tribe together. So many people were born out of Kidisu. So many artists, Sushant Dipkar, Rani Kohinoor was millions and millions of followers. But they found their tribe there. They found to be able to also collaborate together. Other than, of course, the shared experience of a safe space and for them to be able to shed whatever inhibitions they may have had, but also to be able to now say, oh, there are others like us. We can collaborate together. We can work together. We can build together. And that the experience and the trauma of what I'm carrying is one part of me, not all of me.
True. Let me put you on a little spotlight. You may have to think before you answer.
Not that I haven't
Thought of any yes.
answered
Just think this one too. Wherever you are in your life journey right now, Mr. Suri is looking down on you. What is he seeing?
Oh, wow. He's seeing me married. Of course, for sure. He's seeing my husband. I'm sure that there would have been a lot of drama in the beginning with that.
But what is he seeing as the person?
But
Who he has turned out to be, the kind of impact that he's making. What is he seeing? And what is he telling himself?
he's seeing a bit of himself,
How?
for sure. He's seeing a little chip of the old block,
Okay.
for sure. And I think he'll be very proud of what he saw, because one thing my father was determined. And one thing I am is very determined, in particular for this cause.
Okay.
And so I think he's seeing that. I think he's also seeing somebody that that he also was, in a way, because he also the feminine energy that surrounds me surrounded him too,
For sure.
right? And the conversations that we had, he was very much a part of.
You know,
So he's seeing a person that let society not dictate who and what they should.
when you speak about this feminine energy, I'll just tell you, and I say this every time, sorry if I'm repeating myself again, is, forget the sexuality part, right? How do you define a man? Forget, not the sexuality part. Do you know what?
No.
From women.
Of course.
We are born from them.
Yes.
So what energy are we talking about? We are born from them.
We're born from them. We have the feminine, the masculine.
We are born from all energies. We are born from them. That's the definition of a man. Rest everything else is conditioning.
Yeah.
We are born from them. Keshav, what does your future you look like to you?
Oh my God. This one I have to think about.
What does your future you?
So I would say, to be honest, I want to be an example to a lot of the gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and trans people out there. To tell them that there is a life for you. There are success stories for you. I want to be an example of how it is to come from a nurturing home and how that adds to the success of any individual. I want to be an example for people that come from purely feminine energy homes to know how successful, because again, the function is the same of love.
Correct.
And we're not afraid of talking about our feelings. I want to be able to be that safe space. It has to go beyond me. This conversation, this movement, this thing, I have to let it go beyond me. But let also it be a reminder that gay men, lesbian women can get married, that they can define family. They can be family. That they should not be, again, people on the fringes. Let there be success stories. And if I eventually do get divorced, then I also should have the right to alimony, right?
You don't need any, but
Cyril.
but he'll need one. You don't need one.
But I'm saying that,
You should be debited.
I should have the right. And because I want Cyril and I to also be, because so many of the kids don't see the future because they're not told that they can grow old, that they can't, that without being forced into a relationship and having children. I want to be that thing that no, you can do all of those things. Don't let words or what people think around you, let that affect you. No, you can be rock stars, you can be hoteliers, you can be celebrity chefs, you can be Sam Altmans, you can be that. It might look very sort of crumbling to you right now, because a lot of gay men, a lot of queer people, we go through that. We feel that the world's come crumbling around us. There have to be, like you said in the beginning of this conversation, many examples. I want to be that one example to say, you know what? Let me be that. Let me be that eventuality that you can be a success.
Before I want to wrap this up. Again, as I say, where you are born is not up to you. You don't choose that, right? When you were born, you don't choose that either. You don't choose nothing. It's like, they say this pocket square.
Yeah.
Which family you were born in, did you have any control?
No.
When you're going to die, do you have any control?
No.
What control do you have? Just this.
You're right.
Right? You were born, you think, into privilege, but there was a purpose. Why India? Why to Dr. and Mr. Suri? Why to that feminine energy around? Right? You didn't have a control, but there was a purpose. There was a reason. Right? As I said, this I will talk last. But in between, that burden is on you, Keshav. Millions and millions out there, right, who are suffocating every day. 377 abolishing means nothing to their daily lives. But when you talk, when you lead that movement, and so are the others, even Ritu and the others that you spoke about, in this lifetime, this needs to change. That's your purpose.
Yeah.
Which comes to my last. 50 years from now, when you're no more.
Yes.
That eulogy, and if I outlive you.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm too handsome.
Of course, you're too handsome and too young.
Yeah, and too young.
Much younger than you.
Much younger. What do you think your eulogy I would be reading? If I have to, you're a dear friend, you're a brother, what do you think I would say?
That he was here, he was queer, and he stayed that way.
You know what I will say?
What?
I haven't thought about it, but let it come very impromptu to me. I would say he was an activist. He was an evangelist. He changed the discourse of something which was taboo, perceived a taboo in India. He gave a meaningful life to millions because they heard his story and they said, if he can do it, I can do it. They would tell their parents, let's have better conversations around the dining table. You know why? He had better conversations around the dining table. But more importantly, he was a good, kind-hearted man who refused to give alimony to Cyril.
My God.
No, seriously.
You're so funny. But I know what Cyril's eulogy will say.
Tell me.
It will be very clear that he died the way he was born and lived his life. Forever disappointed in everybody around him. As a joke, of course. This is a joke. Because he is, of course, French, and you know how the French are difficult to please.
So your next 40 to 50 years, you have that burden which you need to carry as an empire of the Suri family.
That's very kind
and
of you.
As an activist and an evangelist on the other side.
And also with that shared burden now with my team.
Yes.
That shared burden, the family that we've created.
And they will.
And the shared burden with my partners.
Absolutely.
Like you.
Absolutely.
So
and with you.
No, really, it's a shared burden.
Yes.
So first, when I could have been just a true burden on a few people's shoulders, now it's a shared burden because I've now reached middle age.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, hey. But for young people like me,
Yeah, of course. And that's what I really am proud of. If you were to ask me what have I achieved, this shared burden that now, when it's not a burden anymore, this shared vision for the queer community, and then in general, for any community that has felt marginalized and ostracized, that vision that is shared, and then that vision that comes with nation building and brand India. That I think is what I'm.
Let's manifest something. I like to believe that my videos will outlive us.
Yes.
And if somebody had to pick this video or see this video in 2070, what do you think they're going to read?
They're going to say that these two was fabulous. And this has happened.
And the movement which started, let's say, sometime in 2008-9, carried forward in 2025, and in 2070, this is not a conversation.
No.
Wealth creation is a conversation. Happy life is a conversation. Love is a conversation. Live is a conversation.
And equality.
Equality is a conversation. Absolutely. Keshav, such a pleasure.
Kunal, this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate for you to be the candid person that you are, the outspoken person that you are, the nice person that you are. I said it in the beginning, this is going to be phenomenal. And I really wish our audience, that child out there, that mother, father out there, they just get that kind of a hint. It's not their fault. It's just maybe some of us are a little ignorant about things.
Yes.
God bless you.
Thank you so much, Kunal. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And also, I give back the energy I receive. So you've given me all of the positivity. And therefore, I've been able to keep that back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was beautiful. I think it was beautiful for you as well. Some conversations require to be told and require to be heard. From Keshav, from me, to all of you, wherever you are, be happy. Doesn't really matter who you are. You're a human being. From all of us, salam, namaste, sat sri akal, adab, big love, and even bigger hugs. Bye.